Ofgem's Director of Retail between June 2021 and April 2023, so throughout the peak of the crisis, had a direct conflict of interest by having interest in a Big Six energy supplier. Here's what you need to know and what we're doing. Hi everyone, I'm Richard Winstone with Over 50s Money. Today I'm talking to you about a conflict of interest we discovered with a Director of Retail at Ofgem between June 2021 and April 2023, and what I'm doing about it, what we can all do about it. So first things first, I've written to my local MP, I'm calling for an investigation into Ofgem and the decisions that was made under his directorship between June 2021 and April 2023, including the newly announced increase in supplier profits, because that was started underneath his directorship. So Neil Lawrence is a director at Ofgem. I've met the guy, he's a very nice man. However, when he started at Ofgem as Director of Retail, in charge of the price cap, directly in charge of what we paid for our home energy bills, his wife was a shareholder in SSE. SSE is one of the Big Six energy suppliers and also one of the top 10 generators in the UK. So it's a direct conflict of interest and goes against Ofgem's conflict of interest policy, where they state that spouses of directors can also not hold shares in an energy company. You shouldn't be able to hold shares in someone you regulate. We found this out from the October 2022 Ofgem statement of interest for directors. They posted it on their website, we found it out there, and in June 2023 we contacted the chairman of Ofgem to investigate what was going on. Effectively, his answer was that these shares were held and they were announced when Neil started his job in June 2021, just prior to the energy crisis. But Ofgem mistakenly told him it was fine for his wife to keep those shares. And that mistake wasn't picked up until August 2022, a whole year later, over a year later, when they did the next directors' interests statement, when they next looked at the interest that directors hold and whether there's any conflicts there. The mistake was picked up then, and he was given 9 months to get rid of the shares, and his wife eventually sold them in April 2023. Now, I understand that Neil was told that it was absolutely fine for his wife to hold those shares, but A, he would have been given the policy to read, which would have stated that which does state that spouses are not allowed to hold shares either. And B, more importantly, common sense dictates that your wife being a shareholder in an energy company whilst you're a director of the price cap is an obvious and apparent conflict of interest. His wife, and therefore him and his family, directly benefit from every decision that he makes whilst he's in that role. Now, Neil's no longer in that role. He's been moved to a different directorship under Ofgem. But my problem here is we have to call into question every decision that was made while he was a director. Every decision that was made under his remit that affected the price cap. Now, in my letter to my MP, I've gone through and looked at all of the consultations that Ofgem has done over the last 2 years, since July 2021, and found 22 separate increases to the price cap across that time period. 22 times energy suppliers got more money than what they would have had prior to that decision being made. And those were all done under Neil's directorship. Now, I hold nothing against Neil, and I'm not casting aspersions towards him, but we do have to question whether or not his decisions and the decisions that his team and the people underneath him therefore made afterwards were impacted by the possibility of his personal gain. And on top of that, we need an independent investigation into whether him and his family actually did receive any personal gain from these decisions being made. We're aware that over the last year or so, energy suppliers have been, especially the Big Six, have been posting record levels of profit, which means the value of those shares would have gone up between June 2021, when profits were low or negative, and April 2023, when they finally dispensed of those shares. So I'm calling on my local MP, I'm asking you guys to do the same, to start an investigation, to get the government to investigate whether there were any benefits received from Neil through that conflict of interest, whether the decisions made, those 22 increases, were actually in consumer interest or whether they're influenced by the conflict of interest and his own personal gain, And once those reviews have been done, to possibly reverse any of those decisions to make sure consumers are being looked after, and to investigate Ofgem's policies and how they're implemented, because there is no way that there should be a direct conflict of interest from a director at that senior level for almost 2 years. Between June 2021 and April 2023, that conflict of interest existed, and that just doesn't smell right. So there needs to be an independent investigation into these issues. If you want to support this, if you want to make sure that this does happen, please contact your local MP. There's a link in the description below to the letter that I sent to my local MP. It includes a table of all of the decisions that Ofgem had made in that time period that increased the price cap. So send this to your local MP, ask for them to also pass it on to the new Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero. What we really need is independent investigation. I understand that Ofgem have kind of corrected their mistake when they realised it. Over a year later, they'd made a mistake. They gave Neil another 9 months to get rid of those shares. But that in itself allowed him to own those shares, allowed his wife to own those shares for almost 2 years while he was making decisions and making changes that would impact the value of those shares. So the investigation needs to be done externally, because obviously Ofgem have already done whatever they're going to do with regards to internal procedures. I don't think they've been followed properly. I don't think it was announced or disclosed to the public that this happened. And I do think the public have a right to know whether Neil's decisions over that 2-year period impacted our bills in a way that benefited him. Because if so, I want those decisions overturned. I want them reversed, and I want our bills to come back down. That's sort of the aim. But yeah, please, if you do want to get involved, pass on the letter or just contact your MP and pass them a link to this video. I will post a copy of the letter I've sent, as I said, in the article, which is linked to in the description below this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Over 50's Money YouTube channel and turn on the notifications. And don't forget to share this video around, because I think it's an important thing that we should all be proactive on getting the government to take action against. Thank you.